Okay, people, this is April, I think, 12th or 13th today, 2017. I don't think it's the 14th, I think it's the 13th. Anyway, there's Uncle John holding Andre when Andre was a baby. You can see that. There's Joan. There's the one that moved into my house and caused so much grief, so much hardship, so much trouble, so much emotional pain, so much psychological pain. Because you have to remember, this woman here was going in and out of mental institutions, right? But Fraser Health kept releasing her out after she moved into this house because they knew that there was a large family to keep an eye on her. So she'd come home for a couple of weeks, make herself sick and go back to the hospital, get all the attention that she liked. That was her habit, right? And then come back home after a week or two of being in the hospital, and then she'd stay home for another 3 weeks or maybe 4 if she was lucky. She'd pick at herself, look in her books, figure out something else that was making her sick, make herself sick. She'd literally make herself sick to go back into the hospital. Used to make Uncle John always have to choose for her because she was always dying. Every week she was dying of something new, right? So anyway, this is on one of the better days, right? You can see they're both happy, right? Because they, you know, through my family, they actually had a marriage, right? Uncle John actually had someone to help him look after her because she did nothing but cause trouble, nothing but heartache, nothing but grief. And that's the entitlement mentality with the government union workers, basically. Right? They're the ones that get all the best benefit packages. They're the ones that get all the health care. They're the ones that get all the dental. They're the ones that get the superannuation life insurance policies. They're the ones that get to build the wealth. There's the ones that get to kick the poor people in the teeth, right? And put themselves up on a pedestal, right? For as long as I've known her, I knew Uncle John, going on 33 years, never worked a day in his life. But his pension plan looked after him. Obviously, when he took the buyout in 2002, it got better. But then, like I said, he got targeted for that money as he aged. And now he has no life. He's sitting in a diaper somewhere in some care ward, getting 3.2 hours a day of health care services from somebody that doesn't give a shit about him other than it props up their business. Because that's what it is, people. It's just a business. Okay, so anyway, you can see what's going on in here. This is what Andre looked like when he was in foster care. You can see he was pretty miserable. Red cheeks. Right? You can see he's pretty grumpy there.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, he was pretty grumpy there.
But I wasn't grumpy there.
No, you weren't grumpy there. You were happy there.
Yeah, I'll explain.
Yeah. You were grumpy there, though. You were grumpy there. You can see he's grumpy there. You can see my young budding daughter, right, honor student, you know, trying to cope with this nonsense that these kind of people bring about, okay? Because it's a mentality, people, I'm telling you. It's a mentality among these kind of people that seem to think, I'm serious. I've known her for as long as I've pretty much known Uncle John. And like, here? For 27 years, she never worked, and when she was working, she was going in and out of mental institutions, right, because of her bulimia and anorexia and all her other crap. You can see, not happy. You can see, not happy, right? You can see, this is when he was not with us, right? You can, oh, well, there he was, a little bit with Auntie Tisha, right? Little fussy there, right? You can see he was fussy. You can see, look at his brow. Oh, there goes the screen. Don't know if the camera kicked out. Can't see no pictures, okay? You know, provincial government doesn't care, right? Because, you know, as long as you're spending your money on paperwork, it's not a big deal for them because it stimulates the economy, right? It keeps these people that do this kind of stuff employed. What it does is it guarantees a pension plan for them when they get to this age and they suck up all the resources, and then there's nothing left for my daughter, right? Basically, or daughters for that matter, right? Or for anybody for that matter. Anybody that's poor, you know, we get just bare minimum bones of practically nothing. See, wrote Diane Watts a letter back in July of 2000. Oh, there goes the screen. 2013. Yeah, so I'm just going through some old stuff here. I don't see my screen working here. Oh, we go. There we go. I'm just going through my evidence, people. My evidence, because this hasn't gone away. Okay, what they did is when they took Uncle John, all they did was compound it. They just compounded the grief and the pain, right? That's all they did,
Well,
right?
what happened
Just
here?
made me go off and have to spend a whole bunch more money for a whole bunch more paper, right? That's all it is. Do you see it?
What happened here? No.
Okay, so the only kind of code white situation that you're seeing here is against the family. This is the family being under attack. Okay? Started in 2013 because they had to fill a fiscal budget coming in for 2000. Well, it started in December of 2012. And they needed to prop up that fiscal budget for 2013, so they put their sights on my family. And they used my vulnerable daughter by not providing proper health care, right, to do it. And then they moved in with their code white, Eleanor's code white, and put their talons into Uncle John, go looking for that superannuation life insurance policy, because it's right across the board with these people. I'm telling you, that's one thing Uncle John taught me, is the disparity between the haves and the have-nots and how it gets created through the union sector. Not so much the private sector, but definitely through the union sector. Okay? So this is my code white. This is what the union sector has created for me. So I'm going to call it black. Black code. This is the black code. Okay, people. I think you can see me here. So as you can see, I get angry. I get angry having to go back into time and reorganize the old paperwork before I can really kind of focus on Uncle John's paperwork and get that organized in terms of evidence, right? Again, not knowing what I'm doing. And, you know, it's like, I mean, how long does a person have to be angry for? I started my nonprofit in the year 2001, okay? I started off with the right foot. Sacrificed a lot of things over the years. Invested a lot of time, money, energy. Took a lot of abuse from the community in terms of jealous women, you know, ugly women, right, that couldn't go out there and do the things that I've done and, you know, just wanted to sabotage. And, you know, I've been sabotaged by the city when I put proposals in to do fundraisers in nightclubs that could bring in $100,000, right? But no, they didn't want that to go through because, God forbid, if $100,000 went into the homeless people, right? You know, because it was kind of being redirected back into the homeless people, right? They didn't want that, though, because they want that shit on lockdown. So they passed me on to the province, right? Well, you know, universal trademark, you know, it's a provincial thing, when in fact it was the province that said that we could do, you know, extended hours of operations, go to 3, 4, 5. We just needed approval from the city. That was their little catch-all, their little loop that they could avoid taking responsibility as they misled the public to think that we could do something, right? And what do you call it? You know, sent me to the province, had me run into this MLA, that MLA, this MLA, that MLA, have to go back to that MLA, do some more work, come back, go back to another MLA, 15 MLA later, you know, I mean, how many MLAs do you have to go see to talk about a universal school meal program? You know, children's programs, helping the most vulnerable in the streets. Like, how many MLAs do you really have to talk to? But you see, the thing is, that's what it is. It's just talk. It's talk. That's all it is, people. Just talk. Just talk. And then they nickel dime you to death while you're talking. And this court stuff with the child apprehension and all this other shit that they do, attacking families, making teenagers do criminal checks and all, old people like Uncle John having to do a criminal check after he helped raise the kids. Like how asinine is that when he was there since they were babies, you know, now they're all big, and all of a sudden, he's going for a criminal check. Because you have some out-of-college psychopath that comes out of fucking school, right? Basically, out of college. She's a social worker now, you know, and child protection, and she's got Andre was her first removal. Her first removal. Just imagine how proud she was when she was successful at doing it. I got back some paperwork on that. You go through the paperwork, you can see that dates are not correct. Information is not correct. Been twisted around or put in that's not even true. Misleading. Wrong dates. This is what they built their case on, people. False accusations. Do you know why, Andre, please, do you know why I still have all that paperwork still sitting there? You want to know why it never went to court? If you notice, when I was going to the Supreme Court and I was filing out the paper to get ready to go take the Ministry of Children and Family Development to court in the Supreme Court, all of a sudden I got access to a lawyer. First I was denied a lawyer. At first I was told that, forget it, I'm not going to lose my grandson because the system is set up that way. And that was lawyers that told me that on the phone. As I'm running around trying to find out what I can do after they took him. Because I made the mistake of telling the social worker that I'm going to go file for custody. Or I'm going to go find a lawyer to file for custody. And then they got whatever and took him. Because they didn't want me to get custody first. When in fact I asked for custody when he was born. Considering what was my daughter was going through. I didn't feel that she was stable enough at that point. But now the social worker wanted the mummy to be the mummy. The social worker wanted the daddy to be a daddy. So the social worker set them up to fail, basically. Led them down the garden path. Put all this fucking stress on me. Right? Well, I'm trying to keep track on things to make sure that my grandson is safe.
Me?
But of course they were out of control, right? Because the boyfriend was out of control. Kept trying to derail my daughter. And my daughter did really good for 28 months. And she would have done really well, continuing to do more than 28 months, if the social worker would have done her job correctly. But yeah, as soon as I was getting close to get that right filed with the Supreme Court, they gave me a lawyer. I got approved. It came from the head office in Victoria. And then I got a lawyer. And then I'm told the lawyer, I want it in trial. I want to take it to trial. I refused to see my grandson because I didn't want to tease my grandson. I didn't want to go see my grandson and then have to leave him and see him cry. Right? It was bad enough that the girls were doing that because they had no choice. Right? As the social workers are standing around laughing, thinking it's funny. There was nothing funny about it. It created a lot of brain damage in my children. Honor students, still no nurse today. We know who to blame for that one. I guess she's not white enough, right? Maybe that's it. Doesn't suit Eleanor's freaking criteria of what a nurse is in terms of, well, you're either not white enough or maybe you're not dark enough. Because my daughter's in the middle. Who knows? I just know that my daughter's not a nurse today. And there's factors around that. Okay? Because it's kind of hard to study when you're sick in the brain because of the stress that comes about from these kind of situations. While mother's spending money, photocopying, running around doing whatever, right? So yeah, I'm asking for a, what do you call it? A trial. They lead it on down garden path. Eventually I had to go see my grandson because I was told if I didn't see him, then I would be looking like I was neglecting him. So I was basically forced to go see him even though I didn't agree with the method. And then when it got time for the trial, all of a sudden Sierra's lawyer got sick and bailed out. How convenient. So they had to reschedule it. And then when it got rescheduled, all of a sudden it was here's a deal, take the deal, if you don't take the deal, you're not going to see him for a long time, and this is a really good deal, it's a new fucking program, and rah. Turns out it ain't no new program, people, it's the same freaking program that they've had forever. I got hoodwinked, basically. And I'm left with bare bone minimum income, high debt load because I took on John's wife, right? Because nobody in Victoria wanted to help her. Literally, none of those people that have John now wanted to help Joan. That's why she ended up in this house. And we put up with her for 5 years. 4 in the house and 1 in the care ward. And I was driving Uncle John back and forth all the time. And if the car wasn't on the road, the girls were either taking a taxi down with him to make sure he got there safe and got home safe, or they take the what do you call that, a handy dart bus. My girls would go on the handy dart bus with Uncle John to make sure he got there safe to go visit Joan. What did those people do? Not once did they ever, not even her adopted daughter, not once, not even for 10 minutes did they ever come over to visit her. She was dying and they didn't care. They just couldn't wait to get her dead body and scrounge around for her freaking money. That was all. That was the only thing that they were interested in. Just like with Uncle John. Where's the superannuation? We want to know where the superannuation. A week after they took him. That's what they were bugging my daughter for. Where's the superannuation? He's a government employee. He should have a superannuation. He might be dying because he's so sick over here in Victoria now, even though he was ready and able to come home 2 days before they took him. This is the corruption I'm up against. And I'm telling you people, if it gets thrown out of court, I swear on life. I swear on life. I told Uncle John, he wanted me to fight, I will fight. I'm not going to give up. Okay? Just like he told me to fight for Andre, I'm going to fight for him. And if they try and throw this out of court and they're successful at throwing it out of court, what you just seen is going one level up. Okay? It's going to go to the provincial government against a lawsuit against them. And I've also been advised that being that I'm like thinking like this, not by my own design, people, really, I got better things to do. You know, I have yard work to do. It would be nice if I could work on the non-profit and do things in the community, but the provincial government, the BC Liberal government doesn't give a crap about that. Instead, what they try and do is destroy families, destroy strong families, unless those families are corrupt. As long as they're driving around with the Hummers in the middle of the night, with the little grow-ups in the back and their little meth labs over there and bringing in their freaking heroin, those ones get the green light. Okay? Because they're the ones that can dig deep in the pocket and provide the BC Liberal government with their election money. Right? And it goes down the food chain. It just doesn't stop with the BC Liberal government. It's a little network into the city councils. Right? So they don't care. You could be the most nicest person on the planet, and they don't. As a matter of fact, they will see you as a direct threat to their bottom dollar line. That's it. And they'll wear you out. And they'll make you look like a fool, like they're trying to make me look like a fool. Because they don't stop. They just keep on coming. So yeah, apparently I need to go file something where I state that I am not a terrorist to my freaking, I don't know if it's my country or if it's against my government, because I'm thinking about, well, if this gets thrown out of court with the bank and the health authority, then whatever I've got there building up on that table for the last 4 years is going to be reorganized, relisted, and resubmitted. That's what's going to happen. And this time I'm going to call the Attorney General in directly. So I have to file something to say that I'm not a fucking terrorist here, standing up for myself. Basically. And that as I stand up for myself, that I can't have some overzealous social worker come in and take my grandson because I'm battling a government to do the right thing. Because if that happens, they're just trying to protect their pension plans, people. They're just trying to protect their superannuation life insurance policies. Right? I'm not the one that's being abusive here. It's the politicians that are being abusive. It's the healthcare system that's being abusive. It's the bank that forfeited on its contract that's being abusive. But if you notice, I'm the one that's having to defend myself against that, being abused, being called frivolous, being called scandalous, being called incoherent. But the paperwork's piling up, piling up, piling up. It's got to mean something. You know, there's a cost to it one way or another. Joan looked happy. Damn right she was happy. She had five kids to look after her. She had Uncle John to look after her. She had me to look after her. She had the best of everything. $10 million spent on her alone in the 5 years that she lived with us through the healthcare system because of her going in and out, in and out, in and out, in and out. You know, $22,000, $24,000 a year in income by herself with the majority of her medicine paid for. Right? She got a $10,000 scooter, people, paid for by this provincial government. So for the simple fact that 50 years ago, she worked for the government, for the finance department, for a little while before she ended up in a mental institution because she couldn't handle the job. That's what your taxpayers prop up. That's what Uncle John showed me. That's how he educated me. He just didn't tell me. He showed me. And for that, look what they did. They snuck him away like their dirty little secret so they could rob every last ounce out of him. Because for some reason they think they're entitled to it. As they destroy innocent children, innocent teenagers, I've said it before, innocent young adults. And at one point, well, not at one point, they still have. Innocent elderly, they've destroyed. So I guess I'm not a happy camper today. So yeah, basically ruined the nonprofit, led me down the garden path, made me think I could do fundraisers on a provincial level, when in fact, it was even impossible to do it on a district level. Because it's a farce, as the homeless people would say. It's a farce, nothing but a farce, right? They don't want you making $100,000 unless they can control it. They don't want you becoming popular because you can make $100,000. Because if you make $100,000 and you actually give it to the people like you said you were going to do, what do you think it's going to make those politicians look like? Do you honestly think they want that kind of competition? Obviously not. So now we know why I don't make $100,000. Now we know why that the union doesn't support the nonprofit that I work on, right? We know why. Now we know why that why it's being sabotaged on a political level in terms of municipalities and that type of thing, and even on a provincial level. Because if it started making hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars, the way it was designed to make, through free market, free opportunity, right? Versus through greed and corruption, it would put those people out of work. Because the public would want more people like me in office. It's true. Right? They didn't want my kids to be successful either. Because, again, they created so much brain damage by disrupting the family with their, slave trade of human beings that, if I say it to a judge, might make me look like a terrorist. So like I said, there's something I have to fill out to make sure that the judge understands that I'm not a terrorist. I'm just standing up for my family. I'm standing up for my family's future for after when I'm dead. Okay, because I'll tell you, I don't think I'm going to make it to 70 years old. I don't think I'm going to make it to 80, and I really don't think I'm going to make it to 70. I'll be lucky to make it to 60, and I'm already 55. So you do the math, people, because this stress is just a little bit too much. But you see, that's the game plan. right? That's why they do it, right? That's why they do it.